Be warned, this video will contain spoilers. The Summer I Turned Pretty Season 3, Episode 8, Last Kiss, was supposed to be one of the most important moments of the season, Belly and Jeremiah's wedding day. But honestly, instead of feeling the emotional weight we've been waiting for, I walked away with more disappointment than satisfaction. This was an episode full of drama, shocking reveals, and some long-overdue confrontations, yet Belly herself felt strangely absent from her own story. Once again, things just keep happening to her instead of her being an active participant in her own life. Sure, she decides to tell Jeremiah about Conrad's confession, which is one of the only real choices she's made all season, but even that decision is filtered entirely through Jeremiah's feelings. It makes her less of a character and more of a plot device, and that's frustrating for a lead. Taylor even calls out the problem directly, pointing out how codependent Belly and Jeremiah's relationship has become. By the time she says it, though, it's too late. The writing in this episode makes Belly feel small, and the show's insistence on making her choices revolve around the men in her life has stripped away the independent, led character we saw in earlier seasons. And then there's Jeremiah. This episode dropped the bomb that his Cabo trip wasn't just an impulsive escape but the place where he cheated, twice. What makes it worse is that he already knew about Conrad and Belly's secret Christmas celebration but didn't confront her honestly. Instead, he sat on the information, picked a fight, and then used it as justification to go behind her back. That reveal didn't just make him look immature, it made him look manipulative. It's been clear for a while that the show has been leaning into Jeremiah as the possessive, jealous half of the love triangle. But here, it feels like they pushed him into outright character assassination. It makes me wonder, how far can you drag a character down before it stops being compelling and just feels cruel? Even worse, nearly everyone around him is still treating him like the golden boy while Conrad gets scapegoated. Laurel is practically the only person who shows Conrad any support, and the imbalance in the way these brothers are written is jarring. This all leaves the love triangle in the weakest position it's ever been. Jeremiah comes across like a caricature, Belly is written without agency, and Conrad is reduced to the family punching bag. At this point, it almost feels like the healthiest resolution would be for all three of them to walk away from each other and take a break from this toxic cycle. And that's not the kind of reaction you want from an audience at the climax of your central love story. But it wasn't all bad. When The Summer I Turned Pretty leans into its romantic core, it still works. The goodbye moment between Conrad and Belly was tender, emotional, and beautifully acted. That small forehead kiss hit harder than any of the drama because it felt real, intimate, and full of suppressed emotion. Bryony and Tung have so much chemistry that you can't help but wonder what the show could achieve if it stopped weighing their characters down with endless secrets and obligations to Jeremiah. Taylor was also a bright spot this episode. Finally, someone called Belly out on the way she was throwing herself into the wedding and ignoring her own needs. Between Taylor and Conrad, those confrontations gave Belly the wake-up call she desperately needed, and it was satisfying to watch. The episode closed on a hopeful note with Belly buying a ticket to Paris, hinting that she might finally reclaim her own path. That's exactly what the final stretch of the season needs. Belly making choices for herself, not just reacting to the men around her. So now I want to hear from you. Do you think the show has gone too far in tearing down Jeremiah's character? Are you rooting for Conrad and Belly after that emotional goodbye? Or do you think Belly would be better off completely on her own for a while? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's get into it. Because if there's one thing this episode proved, it's that The Summer I Turned Pretty is at its best when we're debating what Belly really deserves.